we have had so many shocks to our psyche in this century. Gosh, where do you start? We started this century with the horrific, brutal terrorist attacks that visited our shores on 9/11 of '01. And then we had two wars that went on a long time without any clear, tangible results. We had the banking scandals that led to the Great Recession here and around the world. We had 5 years of extreme hardship in the housing market and the job market that we came out of starting in 2012. We had a stock market that collapsed because of the banking scandals, and people ran for the hills. And then we went through an era where things got better and better, and for year after year after year, stock market had a massive rise over a long period of time from 2009 when it hit its bottom all the way till last year. And we had a downdraft when COVID came about, and then COVID obviously, and all the disruptions with it, kids not being in school, all kinds of things that happened, the loss of over 1 million of our fellow Americans who lost their lives to COVID. I mean, it's been a rough time. And through it, we've had these times where the Federal Reserve, in coordination with central banks around the world, done things to try to prop up the economy by taking interest rates to abnormally low levels to try to reflate the economy, pump money into the economy. And our Congress and several presidents and governments around the world did deficit spending to try to inflate economies. And then we've reached this point following COVID where they had the pedal to the metal too hard. And now we ended up with this inflation that was already going to be here because of so many disruptions from COVID. The money the federal government was spending, the moves of the Federal Reserve with the low interest rates, and then we have Putin invade Ukraine that just magnified all these problems. So that's the setting the table of how we got to where we are now. And now there's a painful process of withdrawal from the easy money, withdrawal from the deficit spending, all these things we've been doing. And then, of course, the supply chain disruptions and the war, all this stuff. We've got to do things to get inflation under control. And as I'm speaking to you right now, the average cost of a house that somebody purchased in the United States last month didn't go up, it went down a little. Tiny amount. The average apartment rent in the country went down, not up. Over the last year, apartment rents have gone up, average around the country, may be very different where you live, they've gone up 7%. So today I'm not really on this first edition of Clark-onomics of this era. I'm not going to delve deep into any one area. I just want to set the table about how we got here and the moves that are coming. So the Federal Reserve and other central banks around the world continue to raise interest rates. The purpose of that is it soaks up demand in the economy. As rates go higher, decisions people would make to do things, to invest, they pull back from them. Things people would do, they'd spend money on, they're not as likely to. That's why I think about the housing market. This is the rawest, easiest to follow. If we had rates a year ago that were 2 point something percent, and now they may be 6 or 7%. The monthly cost of a mortgage payment is so much higher that people say, not now, can't do that. Somebody who's got to sell a house right now for whatever reason, they've moved, somebody passed away, whatever, they are going to be in a position where if they've got to move it now, they're going to have to cut the price because they've got to compensate for that higher cost that people are facing in a mortgage payment so they can afford to buy that house, stretch but buy. All these things are going on for a specific reason, and that is to move the economy to a lower gear. The chance the economy is going to be in a full definition of recession, gosh, depending on whose economic model you believe, it's 70 to 98%. It's like the odds are overwhelming that we are going to be in a recession. How deep it's going to be, how severe, this is not going to be, barring some unexpected expansion of war in Europe or something like that, this is not going to be a terrible recession. It's going to mean that people who had their pick of jobs, as they may have had lately, that's not going to be true. We're going to see the number of layoffs rise. There will still be other jobs for people to get. You go back to the Great Recession, there were far more people looking for work than there was any possibility of jobs out there. This is not going to be that kind of thing because the economy has been so strong, and because of all the money the Federal Reserve was pumping in, the Congress was pumping into the economy, we had an abnormally low rate of unemployment in the U.S. It was unsustainable in terms of the long-term trend of the economy. So we're going to see serious adjustments. The things that I will cover on various podcasts, I'll cover what's going to happen with the stock market because everywhere I go, I'm getting questions about that. And just a brief teaser. The one thing not to do today with your 401k or IRA or investments is bail. We're in a phase that is called capitulation, where people see the bad news day after day after day with the value of the marketplace, of the stock markets, the various indices. And they feel like, I can't handle it, because then you hear the reports, hey, it could go down another 20%, it could go down another 50%, it could go down another 10%. And you're like, why am I punishing myself? And the thing is if it's money you don't need anytime soon, because it's money you're putting aside for retirement or long term, you ride the roller coaster down because you don't know when the ride back up starts. But the other thing is, if you're contributing through a 401k at work or a Roth IRA or something like that, and you're putting money in every pay period, every month, something like that, as the market declines, you're buying shares each month at a discount. It's like going to the clearance rack and you see last season's clothes that nobody wants and they've been marked down 5 times, because the market eventually recovers and you want to be there to benefit from it. I alluded to earlier, the people who bailed in 2007, 8, 9, 10 from their investments and sat on the sidelines till it got safe, got punished big time. I reiterate, I will go through this journey with you. We're going to go through. And I want to tell you, we are not facing the darkest of economic times, not even close. But we have to take the punch bowl away, because inflation ultimately destabilizes a society and makes most people a lot poorer. And it distorts decisions that businesses make. So this is going to be a bumpy thing we're going to go through. For most of us, it won't be a brutal thing.